Ed, we're going to put you in the green room here for a second.
Okay.
While we do our introduction. I think I cut him off there. Whoops.
Be a good host.
It's like that line from Moneyball. He says when the he hangs up on the guy. Yep. He goes, "When you get the answer you want,
just hang up.
Just hang up." He goes, "I think that guy was going to say something else." He goes, "When you get the answer you want, that's all you need." All right, here we go. 3, 2, and 1. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool.
And Sean, we should have a fun topic today. We're going to be talking about a little bit of direct mail marketing, but also some AdSense marketing as well. So we've got a guest that he was a podcast guest of mine many years ago, back when I was doing the internet marketing podcast for beginners.
Yeah.
And he came on my show. It was a lot of fun, but we talked about lumpy mail, which is still one of my favorite topics.
Oh yeah. Love some good lumpy mail. We both do.
So today he's going to be talking a little bit about his business over at, what is it? Clicks Geeks?
Clicks Geek.
Clicks
Plural
Geek.
clicks. One geek, bunch of clicks.
One geek doing all those clicks.
Yeah.
So we've got Ed Stapleton Jr. He is a marketing and growth expert. He's an entrepreneur, advisor, consultant, and he's going to be telling us a little bit about what he does in the local marketing. So he does a lot of the local marketing for all types of different businesses. He's going to tell us a little bit about who his clientele is, how he gets his business, how he converts those leads using everything from direct mail to online marketing, Google AdSense, and all that stuff.
Yeah. Looks like he married above his pay grade too. So based on this picture. So.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. So with that said, let's bring him up from the green room. He does have a beverage. I don't think it's alcoholic though, but that's okay. He's got some duties to fulfill after the interview. So we'll give him a break there. Ed, welcome to the show, man. Glad you can join us.
Thank you. I appreciate that intro. That was awesome. My wife would very much appreciate that comment.
Absolutely.
She already knows.
Right. Now that our audience can see you, he's got the Tommy Boy poster. I got to ask, where'd you get that? That is so cool.
I think it was from Iconic Canvas or one of those canvas brands. Got it. Way bigger than I expected. I guess I didn't measure out what 50 inches look like ahead of time. It's pretty giant. But I'm a fan.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one at Iconic or, I know there's a couple of those places, but they got some cool stuff. But that one's, the people who know, and the people who don't are like, what is that from? Is that Saturday Night Live?
A little aggressive.
Yeah.
So, those Generation Zs just don't get it, man.
And for those of you that aren't watching, it's a clip. It's a canvas of a scene from Tommy Boy when they're pitching their breaks or Callahan breaks.
Yeah,
that's right.
These days.
What's that?
Could you imagine him on TikTok these days?
Oh man,
perfectly made for it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, he would be amazing on TikTok.
Yeah, we've lost a lot of people. Robin Williams would have been great on TikTok.
Yep.
A lot of people that we've lost that would have done very well there. So, all right. Well, let's talk beverages before we get into business. We'll do this first, Ed. Before we get in, give us a teaser.
Okay.
Like this was like a teaser bullet on a good piece of copy about what we're going to be talking about on the show. Don't give away too much. Got to keep people hanging around.
Yeah. My name's Ed Stapleton. I'm one of the owners at Clicks Geek. We're a Google partner agency. We specialize in Google ads for local business. And I'm an open book in terms of generating leads online, direct response copywriting, direct mail, just growth in general. So whatever you guys want to talk about.
Okay. So Ed's going to give us a secret that will transform your business overnight, right? We'll just
Oh,
we'll just go with that.
just for $39.99 or $39.97.
Yeah,
Yep.
we'll give you the link at the end of the show, but you got to stick around to find
with
out.
the affiliate code.
Yeah. All right.
I think I titled this "A Proven System for Converting More Prospects into High-Paying Customers."
Yeah, I really
that sound
should
pretty
read.
good.
Yeah,
No pressure.
I should really read the titles before I jump on these things.
And it might be helpful for me to send those over too,
because it cuts off like when you're actually in the StreamYard room. Like
you can't see it, right?
It just says a proven system for convo. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jonathan, you and I are drinking the same thing today, but first we'll let our guests talk. Ed, what are you having on the show today?
I've got a Harris Teeter seltzer, which is the store brand seltzer. I got to pick up my kids in about an hour, so I can't drink and show sound like an IPA. Be a little weird.
So, what part of the country are you in?
I'm in Cary, North Carolina, which is right between Raleigh and Durham.
Okay.
Oh, Tobacco Road, right? Is that
exactly? Yep.
Yeah, I remember Harris Teeter. Like that brings back memories. So,
yep.
Kroger's trying to move into our area. I don't think they're going to survive HEB, but we'll see. So,
yep.
All right. So, Jonathan, you and I think are drinking the same thing. We got the Lock 15, the Pretty Boy Porter.
Yes, indeed.
There it is.
Pretty Boy. This
is American Porter Ale, 5.7% ABV, IBUs 37.8, very specific, with an SRM of 36.3. Yeah,
look at that.
I've also already poured mine, and it is full to the brim. Full to the rim with brim. Remember that old commercial?
Yes, we do.
Sorry, I had to.
So I had this one a couple of weeks ago. It was not reviewed. It was a second one. I think I snuck that in on one of our shows.
Yeah, so I
told you about it afterward.
All right, so this is a peanut butter porter.
Yep.
Named after Charles Pretty Boy Floyd, and this is from one of the companies up in Cleveland or outside of Cleveland, Ohio. I think Akron area.
Yep.
So it was named after 1930s gangster Pretty Boy Floyd. Floyd was briefly hiding out in Akron's safe house. While running from the law, he became public enemy number one. In June 1934, was killed by the FBI in East Liverpool, Ohio, a few months later. And little did he know back then he'd have a peanut butter porter named after him all these years later.
Some claim to fame.
Man, some names just never die. I mean, if 70 years, 80, 100 years, I don't know, 90 years, I guess. 90 years after my death, somebody names a beer after me. I'll say I lived a good life.
You've done well. That's right. Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to take a sip. Let's cheers.
Cheers. Cheers, gentlemen. All right, Sean, we still writing ours down? We'll let Ed give his, and then are we doing the?
Sure. All right.
Okay. All right, Ed, what do you got there? I mean, I know you're having to drink light there.
Wait, score 5 being the best or the worst?
5 being the best.
This is like a solid 4.5 seltzer. It's better than Polar. It's better than LaCroix. I enjoy it. It's very good.
Wow.
Very crisp.
I hate LaCroix. I don't know if it's the name that I can't stand or the font on the can. I don't know. For some reason, LaCroix just got a bad rap in my opinion. So it's 4-5. All right, Sean, you ready?
It's really hard to write my score on these cards with these ultra fine pens that I like writing with. It's like I need a marker at my desk just for this little segment here.
Okay.
All right. Ready?
Yep.
I've got 3.8. Jonathan's got 4.2 on the old handbooks there. Yeah, I like it. It's definitely got the peanut butter. I think this is a very drinkable porter, though. You could drink this, and
it's good.
It's not that high in alcohol either, so you could definitely
not heavy.
Chug a few of these on a nice cool day like it is here in Austin today.
It's got that bittersweet too. Do you notice that in it? Like I thought it'd be a little bit sweeter, but
I know, especially. I mean, IBUs are 38. It's not super high, so I'm surprised it does have a little bite to it. But you can definitely taste the peanut butter. So my guess is it gets better as you drink it. Usually these peanut butter porters and stouts, the flavor comes out over the course of the drinking it. Gotta let them breathe. Need to get the aerator, the wine aerator out and pour it through that and see. Somebody mentioned that on a show. I need to actually try.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
So, all right. Well, enough.
Your beers out of cans or out of wine glasses or out of glasses? What's your style?
For these fancy beers, we like to.
Yeah. So you know,
use Sean's got a special glass there. Tell him about that, Sean.
So this is who is this? I can't remember. We talked about it on the show one time, but anyway, it's supposed to be designed for like porters and even IPAs. This is probably a good IPA because it actually says "Be Hoppy" on it. But it's fluted, wider at the top to get the aroma, but on the bottom it's got an etching, which I can't show you at the moment, or I'll spill beer on myself. And you can see it, especially with like a lager or an IPA. It's lighter. You can see through it. You can see it just pulls off the bubbles like nonstop while you're drinking it. So it's constantly aerating it. I don't know how a simple etch does that, but it's kind of cool. But if I'm drinking, like on the next episode, we're having a darker, we're having a stout. I'll use a glass shaped like Jonathan's drinking out of.
Nice.
So, and then sometimes just a regular old pint glass. Depends on what's not in the dishwasher at the moment.
Fair enough.
All right,
let's jump in, man.
Well, I gotta tell you, just because I kind of prefaced it at the introduction, but so Ed, I think I interviewed Ed. I interviewed you, Ed, but probably about 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago. It's been a long time, but I remember our conversation on lumpy mail. You kind of inspired me. I was so pumped about, after that, I started doing some lumpy mail for my industry, based off of that, using I would do everything from, easy buttons to Rubik's cubes to army men, picking up army men at Dollar General and stuff like that. Was like,
yes. Yeah, I love Dollar General for lumpy mail ideas.
Trinkets, yep.
Yeah. I've done some of that. I even did some of that with when I was getting my copywriting career started. I went to a job fair and I put together these envelopes and I put dice in it, a pair of dice.
Yeah.
I guess that'd be dice. And I put, don't roll the dice on your next copywriter.
That's good.
And people loved it. And I got lots of appointments to talk to people with that. So, and it's, it stuck with people. So everybody else was handing out like business cards and one pagers. And I had a folder with something lumpy in it. And it works over and over.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, it's not what we're talking about today.
No.
So let's jump in. I'll let you lead and drive, Jonathan.
I got to ask, do you have an all-time favorite lumpy direct mail that you've ever sent, Ed? Because
we've sent some ridiculous stuff. So a horror story. Actually, I just told this. I was at a digital marketing agency conference down in Miami this week. And I was telling one of the agency owners there of a story where I was sending out direct mail campaign to either family lawyers or criminal defense attorneys. Mm-hmm. And it had a packet of aspirin, like the old style Dan Kennedy approach. It was, growing your business, giving you a headache type thing, aspirin stapled to the top. Got some good, decent leads, got some business, but I got one response from the guy who wanted to come after me and sue me for sending medicine in the mail, essentially. And he got pissed. He was like, I could have taken this, had an allergic reaction and died, all these different things. And I was like, all right, that one's out. No more sending that. No more food product. Nothing that could fall into that category. So my favorite one.
It's spoken like a true attorney, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, God, I hate working with attorneys. My favorite one was actually not a lump mail. It was an advertorial that we mailed in the roofing niche.
Cool.
We pulled in a $180,000 cedar roof wood job cedar wood roof job, all from $1,000 worth of direct mail. So that's probably my all-time favorite because prior to that, I'd been sending like 1 or 2 or 5-page direct mail letters. And this time we did advertorial style tear sheet where it was like copied at an angle, looked like it was photocopied. Mm-hmm. And it pulled a $180,000 job. And I was like, holy crap, this was a different level. So that's probably my favorite story in terms of direct mail. We're still sending it to this day. We're going to send probably 20,000 pieces in the next 2 or 4 weeks. So yeah, still works.
Oh, that's fantastic, man.
What kind of niches are you still using direct mail for?
So I own a Google Ads agency. So we're targeting companies that generate leads using Google Ads. So, and our niches are our local service businesses. So junk removal, scrap yards, auto detailing, roofing, real estate investors, basically anybody that needs the phone to ring. But the key with it is to individualize the letter specific to the niche. So I wouldn't combine all 5 of those and just do one piece. It would be, 5 different letters, one for each vertical, so that we get the message to market match. And, you're speaking their language, which is key.
Yeah. Right. A lot of those guys, they still use postcard and direct mail or print ads and stuff like that too, right? So you're using Google Ads to kind of support all that they're doing. Is that what you're offering?
Yep. So when you Google something and you see the ads that appear, we build and manage those campaigns. Those are called pay-per-click ads. Essentially, it's free to be there, but as soon as someone clicks on the ad, that's when you get charged for that. It's an auction system, so pricing is going to ebb and flow based on the market. People enter and exit the market. Competition changes. People change bid strategies. So it's kind of this ever-changing stock market, if you will, in terms of pricing and how things work. We just try to put a good balance in place and put good controls in place so that you've got a campaign that's profitable and it's getting you a good cost per lead so that you can grow your business accordingly.
Very cool.
Yep. So when did you start your agency? How long have you been in business? Give us a little background and history.
Yeah. So we started soon after we met. I met my soon-to-be business partner. I was actually buying leads from him for marketing services, and we just hit it off. I was more on the SEO marketing side of things. He was on the Google Ads side of things. I was sold the bill of goods that Google Ads was dead and it didn't work. And that really just focused on SEO. That's where it's at. And
he was vice versa. He was told SEO was dead.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys came together, right?
Oh, we came from different gurus, I think, that had their different sales pitches. So I had a client, a limo client, and he kept asking me to run his Google ad campaign. And I was like, and I don't know what I'm doing. I was like, but I have a friend that I think can help. Why don't we bring him to the mix? I'll maintain a relationship. He'll be a pass-through cost for you. So I wasn't making any money on it, but what he was able to do in terms of a Google ad campaign in like 3 months was just blew my mind. Went from a couple vehicles up to 10 vehicles in a year, and just really grew the business and grew it very quickly and cost effectively. And I, right then and there, saw the power of harnessing what he was doing. He loved back-end fulfillment. I hated it. I loved the sales side of things, and the marriage was born. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we hit it off, and slowly got into bed and started a company, and then have just been on the ride ever since. That was 2015 when we started.
Very cool.
All right.
So how do you, Sean and I have this discussion a lot where, you work within a lot of niches. I know, do you start in niches? Do you start from a broad standpoint of like, here's our company, and obviously it's ClicksGeek. So how do you kind of hone in? Is it just based on, hey, I got a client from this industry, maybe we should look into targeting this industry more? Or how do you go after a niche market and see that, okay, this is profitable? How do they, do you kind of filter down into start broad and go down, or do you start down and go up? Which is it?
Well, zero-based thinking, knowing what I know now, what would I do different? It would be, yes, I'd go after a particular niche, but back then it was like, you got to scrape and claw and get whatever you can get out of the gate. Yeah. Early on in the business, we found it easy to go after agencies. So target other agencies that were out selling this stuff in market. And then we'd be a white label fulfillment arm for them on the back end. They go sell the job, manage the relationship, and then we would fulfill the work on the back end. We'd build the landing pages, the call tracking, the campaign, the management. We'd do everything except talk to their client and sell their client. So that really got us launched out of the gate. We were involved in a bunch of local marketing groups that had a lot of agencies in there that needed this fulfillment, that were more SEO specialized. And we just fit that need, and that kind of got us off the ground. And then we'd slowly add on some local clients as we went through networking, through direct mail, just, the nature of being in business and being in different groups. As we progressed, we were probably in 200 plus markets over the years, or industries and niches within niches.
Wow.
And we just kind of figure out what we like and what we don't like. And, there are markets we'll never, ever go into again. And we learn those ones the hard way.
Let me guess, one of them's attorneys, right?
They're okay. But it's like e-commerce and SaaS and things like that. They're just, set. And what we charge, we couldn't monetize it for the amount of time it took us to get in there. So we realized local lead gen costs us a fraction of the time in terms of time investment. We just get a better return on the time we're putting in, better return on investment. So we just steered towards local, and that's really where we went. And over the years, we slowly cut out the white label program and went more towards the retail side, increased margins, decreased support on the back end, because believe it or not, agencies ask more questions than the retail customers do. And then since then, we've cut it down even further, down to like 40 niches or industries, and then that will actually accept the client in. And then from there, it's really like 5 to 10 that we're actually focusing on, and then like 5 that we're really focusing outbound efforts on as well. So, knowing what I know now, I'd go right to the niche, but when you're starting out, you got to do what you got to do to
absolutely
keep the baby alive.
Yeah, and you learn a lot along the way.
Oh,
you can apply to these businesses, or all kinds of 100%. Stuff. So.
My partner and I always say that we love learning things the hard way. That's just kind of what we do. Give us a shortcut, we'll fuck it up, and then we'll learn the hard way. So.
Is it pretty much rinse? I mean, once you develop a system within one niche, I mean, is it kind of rinse and repeat? I mean, for you guys?
So it is to an extent, but keep in mind, they're localized, and you have different competition in the local markets. So different market competitors are going to act a little bit differently, and bidding's going to look a little bit differently, but generally, yes. So the way we operate now is, let's say within the 40 niches that we're in, we've got winning campaigns in those. So instead of building something custom from scratch by hand, we can use the Google Ads editor tool and basically do what we call the clone and edit. So clone the winning campaign, go and edit it, and then have someone launched. So we've always historically been fast at the onboarding process, typically 2 to 4 days, whereas some companies are like 2 weeks. With the new clone and edit approach, we could have someone live in like 24 hours. So time to market is much faster when you're within, verticals really well. Once a campaign's live, you then go into the optimization phase, and that's the hand-to-hand combat. That's the king of the hill. Once you get to the top of the hill, it's not victory. It's turn around and start wielding your sword on everyone trying to come up and get you and take your position. Right. So that's what you're up against. It's just like the stock market. You've got to defend your position. You got people that will try to do leverage buyouts and take you, for everything you got. You just got to defend your position and do the best you can with what you've got, under the constraint that most clients don't have unlimited budget. So you got to do the best you can with what you got.
Right.
That's interesting. I want to talk a little bit about local markets in general. We've got a lot of freelancers and other people that listen, salespeople, copywriters, all kinds of stuff. And I know local markets for a lot of people aren't as sexy or whatever. They were popular for a while, and then, we got off into all this other stuff, in the online marketing world and things like that. Not to get more competition, but if you're a copywriter, things like that, talk a little bit about the opportunity in local marketing.
I love it. I love the local markets in that it's rinse and repeatable. And you can have 50 to 100 or 250 of them around the country. So you can really build that niche system. So your fulfillment can become a lot easier. There are companies locally spending legit ad budgets, $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 a month. And they need help harnessing that. Most clients locally are going to spend $3,000 to $5,000 a month. If I had to pay, I'd say $3,000. But I think there's a tremendous opportunity locally to help these people grow. Most are growing, I don't want to say this arrogantly, but despite themselves or despite their efforts on Google Ads. I know that came off very arrogantly. I didn't mean it like that, but it's just like you look behind the curtain and you see what other agencies are selling as Google Ads management, and it's messy. And that even goes for Google reps themselves. It's just not I think there's a lot of opportunity, and
Sure.
Specifically in the local side, I think competition's a lot less than it is at like the Fortune 500 level. I could be wrong, but I also don't target the Fortune 500. I just imagine it's less. At least that's what I tell myself.
Yeah.
I think they're relatively easy to get a hold of if you go after niches where there's not layers of gatekeepers to get past. You can usually get to an owner of a local business within 1 or 2 steps, or 0 to 1 steps. I don't know if I really answered your question there, but I love.
No, you did. Yeah. Do you find, are most of yours like brick and mortar? They have a physical location of some kind?
Good question. I would say it depends. It depends on the niche. Either a service area or brick and mortar.
Yeah, so like lawn care probably wouldn't have a brick and mortar, but they
might have a yard
trucks.
though. Like a roofer. Like, the better way to think about it is do they go to you or you go to them? Does the customer go to you or you go to the customer? So service area versus local. So like a dental, a chiro, those have offices. You got to keep those radiuses somewhat tight unless it's super specialized where someone's willing to travel. So they'll go further for like the best orthopedic in town, but they're only going to go 5-10 miles for the best dentist type thing.
Sure.
And then roofing, plumbing, it's just as far as you're willing to have your techs and your salespeople travel to fulfill the work.
Yeah. One thing I love about those types of businesses, the smaller local businesses, or anybody that's got, real equipment, all this kind of stuff, is they are used to writing checks just to kind of keep things going every month.
100%. I say that to people all the time. I'm like, you guys write more checks than you have in revenue right now. Think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, just to turn on the lights every week, or to fill up, especially right now, to fill up the trucks with gas, like these are real things they're used to spending. So another $2,000 to $3,000, it's real money, but it's not what it could be to like somebody who's online and doing information products, and they have almost zero overhead. Then you go to them and they're like $5,000. Yeah, it's crazy. So that's a huge benefit of working with this type of person, whether it's local or even up to Fortune 500 is, and they write big checks for stuff.
Yep.
And
trucks are not cheap. Outfitted things are not cheap. 50, 100 grand. A tow truck, way expensive. Imagine.
Yeah. Workers comp. How about workers comp? Check
there you go. My workers comp is a joke because we all work from home, but you throw on workers comp that gets tacked on revenue. It ain't cheap.
Yeah, I've heard as high as 50% of revenue for some roofers. Like it's crazy. So half your money when you install a roof is going to to insurance companies. It's crazy.
That's crazy. Mike, I have a question. Like when you're involved in the process of getting them, obviously the goal is getting them more qualified leads, which leads to more business. In that process, I know you're involved in a lot of the Google AdSense, but are you evaluating everything from, obviously I'm sure you're evaluating everything to start with a client. Like if they have a crappy like landing page or website, if they have, if it's really bad to start with, I'm sure that's, you have to start with kind of giving, recommendations. You're kind of like a doctor. You're kind of making a diagnosis. Hey, before we do anything, you gotta fix this.
Yep.
You gotta fix that. Or are you kind of the one-stop shop? Do you guys do everything, or just say if they don't have their act together on this end in terms of, when they get the traffic, you say, hey guys, you got to fix this first before we can work with you?
At first, I would say we sell very similar to what you just described, to take the diagnostic approach.
Yep.
Your lab coat checklist, going through a diagnosis and then prescribing a solution type thing. So we're big believers in selling like that, and not just throwing out a price. You can't prescribe without a diagnosis type.
Absolutely.
So we can help people despite their other marketing efforts. So when let's say you own a roofing company, it's called taylorroofingco.com. Instead of building a landing page on that, what we get is taylorroofingco.co or .net, and put a landing page on that domain. And it's typically 2 pages, the main landing page and then a thank you page, and that's it. And that's where we'll drive traffic to. We do that for a number of reasons. Number one, we want distraction-free traffic. We don't want them going to your blog. We don't want them going to your about page. We want them the action we're paying for them to take. Where, as Sean will, I'm sure, attest to, we want to push them down the slippery slope, and we want them becoming a lead. So that's that. The other thing is trying to get access to client websites and put a subdomain. Everything is a disaster. And we're not a full service digital marketing agency. We are a Google Ads specialist. We are not building you a website. We're not doing your SEO. All it is Google Ads. And we learned probably 2006 to kind of just shortcut the process and buy the domain plus privacy for $20 as part of our onboarding process. And that's kind of how we're able to put people through the onboarding process real fast. So we've got the assembly line of worker one or employee one, team member one builds the landing page. Team member two builds the campaign itself. 3 does all the conversion setup, the tracking, the call tracking, and then 4 gets it off to the client and gets them live in market. And that's kind of the Ford assembly line that we put people through to get them live in market.
And the flip side of that, the other benefit is you own that asset, right? I mean, they're right?
We own it. We own it in that it's a necessary evil to get them in market fast and be as efficient with their money as possible. Should we part ways, we typically just drop the domain. They don't keep the landing page because it's software that we pay for as part of service. It's a monthly software that we pay for. So should we part ways, the landing page comes down. The campaign itself would stay in their account. They own that asset as part of the build out. The landing page would come down. You could call it proprietary. You could call it us just not recurring the cost for them if they're not going to be a client.
Sure.
But yeah, we don't pass on the landing pages should they leave.
Gotcha.
So are you typically doing like their business name? You're not trying to do something like Raleigh Roofers.
Right. Yeah.
Right there.
So yeah, it's SeanMcCool.com. We get the .co with that or .net, depending on what's available, and run with that. One thing you said earlier about a bad site. So when you're running Google Ads, there's something we call the Google Ads magic formula, and it's pick the right keywords.
See, that would have been a good tease, Ed, right there. That's your tease if you're on another podcast.
That's our book title. That's the title of the book we're working on, the Google Ads magic formula. So
there you go.
It's pick the right keywords. It's write compelling ad copy. So earn the click. And then last is send the traffic to a landing page that's going to convert the traffic at the highest rate.
All right, one more time. Keywords.
Yep. Ad copy.
Landing page.
Yep. And give you an example of that. When you're running a campaign, you've got these 3 columns that you're going to work through. Let's just go right to the last column, the landing page. Let's say you're converting at 10% and you're getting $10 clicks. That means your lead cost is $100. If we can get that into our healthy category, which is 20% or above, that means you've cut your lead cost in half. You're at $50 a lead now, and you're at double the leads. So that's why it's such a big lever. Now, to go to the front end of that, you got to pick the right keywords. There's exact match, there's phrase match, and there's broad match. Think of broad match as way, way top of the funnel. That's 99% of traffic on Google. Those are really long search queries that may or may not be about the topic you're talking about. It might say something like, when was the last time someone died at a roofing company? And technically, because roofing company's in there, your ad could show for that because that's part of broad match. Versus phrase match, which would be something like roofing company near me. That could be a phrase match. An exact match would be roofing company. So you want to stick within that exact and phrase to drive the most quality traffic to the ads and write the most compelling ad copy to get you to the landing page that's going to convert that traffic at the highest rate. So it's A, B, C. And that's the formula. If you can nail that, you can have a winning campaign that can drive growth in the business.
That's awesome.
So tell us about, landing pages are a lot of, good to even, average copywriters can write decent ads if you know your market, that kind of stuff. Where things tend to get tricky for people, I think, is the landing page. They get too busy. They get too I see a lot of what happens is you keep testing ads and you forget to change the landing page to match sometimes. The congruency disappears over time. What's kind of some of your key ideas and secrets for landing pages? Like, do you do super simple landing pages? Are they pretty long and drawn out? And like,
Yeah.
what are some of the things Google has to have on there so it doesn't get flagged as whatever? At least that used to be some of the talk, that it had to have footers and certain things.
What I would say is franchises don't like the way we run landing pages because they're super simple.
Yeah.
They're not going to typically stick within the brand guidelines. Because I feel like I've got a duty to get the best cost per lead for you, or the most efficiency out of your budget. We tend to lean towards simpler rather than beautifully designed. And if I had one tip in terms of landing page, is pick mobile traffic or desktop traffic when you're doing this. And if you're mobile, go desktop. I'm sorry, go mobile. And if you're going to go mobile, make sure you're building it, looking at it, what it's going to look like on mobile view. And
so that's a good tip. I want to repeat that. If you're local, you want to make sure that it's optimized for mobile traffic.
I think I mean, if you're in the consumer space in general, I think mobile is what 80-90% of traffic now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if, Jonathan, your audience is probably desktop, that you sell to. But I think if you're in the consumer space, you got to go mobile first.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just to layer on that, the intent behind someone taking out their phone and looking up roofing company near me is significantly different than them doing it in bed at 11 o'clock on their tablet or on a computer, because they could easily be on Instagram or doing any other number of things besides looking up roofing company near me. So it just puts, you always have to, when you're writing ads and when you think about targeting, you always have to think about, like, put yourself in their shoes, like turn around, sit in their shoes. What's that person thinking about as they're typing that in? Why are they typing that in? And that's why we gear towards more the mobile traffic. So to go back to what Sean asked about landing pages, we go simple, we go mobile heavy, mobile centric. So click to call buttons, bigger text, just make it easy to consume the content. Scroll, real simple. They're not beautiful, but they're really effective. And we're shooting for like somewhere between a 20 and 80% conversion rate in the campaign. 20.
What is a conversion? Are you capturing the name? Are they like?
Yep.
What are they? What's your typical thing? Are you giving something away in exchange for that name? Like what's the basic formula?
So it's phone calls. It's form submissions. Form submissions are typically quotes, things like that. This is not download a free ebook type stuff. These are requests for consultation type quotes, name, email, phone. So maybe some other queries, radio buttons, things like that, or some message about what's going on, or phone calls. And phone calls, we gear more towards phone calls in most niches. That's our main call to action, just because that's that one-to-one connection, closer to revenue than someone submitting a form. And one thing I'm talking about conversion. So a conversion rate is the percentage of people that clicked that became a lead, and anything below 20% for us is a problem, unless it's an industry that's super difficult and they're okay with cost per lead. But 20%'s really where we're okay. This company's out of our red zone or yellow zone into the green, and then we have as high as 80%. Most companies are going to convert somewhere at like 5 to 10%, overcomplicate things, or they're sending broad traffic, and it's too broad. Therefore, it's just not going to naturally push through the funnel correctly because it's not exactly what they were looking for.
Yeah. Cool. So simple mobile traffic.
Yep.
And then you're requesting either phone calls or some type of form.
Yep.
Is there any, it sounds super simple on your land. No video. It's just simple phone call, consultation, quote, pricing, whatever. Does
it basically repeat the ad?
Somewhat.
I guess you only have one page, right? All your ads go to one page.
So it depends. So if it's let's say it's a water damage company, right? The main one would be, the main landing page would be water damage. But let's say they also want to target mold. Mold, you want a separate landing page for. So let's say it's SeanMcCool.co is the main water. But then we do /mold or mold inspection or mold removal to make a second page there. you want the message to market match at like a vertical level. It doesn't really have to be at like water damage, water remediation, water damage removal. You don't have to go that granular with it. As long as it's themed appropriately and it would make sense for why that ad would go to that landing page, then it makes sense. But if it's like different sub services within the niche, then it should be broken out into different landing pages to get. Also, keep in mind, everyone doesn't have unlimited budgets. So you have to do the best you can with what you've got. And sometimes someone paying us extra doesn't make sense, where they're better off just dumping more money into budget. So you have to kind of marry both sides between the client spending more towards budget where it should be versus them just paying us more to build out more stuff that probably won't get that much traffic anyway. So you got to put some strategy behind it, because they're better off spending money. They'll stay longer.
Good point.
So does your ad spend depend on your geographic? I mean, say I'm a local contractor and I've got 100-mile radius, in my local area. So probably a little more reasonable ad spend for me than somebody that's, covering an entire state. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Or somebody that has a broader. It's
relative. It's relative to the niche. It's relative to the click cost. It's relative to the geo targeting. So these are all auctions. Water damage, roofing, plumbing, family law attorneys are all going to pay different click costs.
I see. Yeah.
So what we layer on top of this is something we call the Google Ads golden ratio. And what that is it's a simple formula to help us come up with what a client's budget should be for a localized market. Now, we've been in our core 40 markets so much that we know out of the gate what the budget should already be, or we don't need to redo this formula. Sure. But the simple math on this is we use a tool called Keywords Everywhere, which is a free plugin that gives you estimated click cost for that market. So we take that estimated click cost and we multiply that by 5, and that'll give us a daily budget. We times that by 5 days a week, and that'll give us a weekly Monday through Friday budget. Times that by 4, that'll give us the monthly budget. So just for ease of math here, let's say the average click cost is $10. And let's say our average conversion rate is 20%. So that means we're converting 1 out of 5 clicks into a lead. And this gets us into a place where we can get the client at least a lead per day. We're shooting for more, but at a basic level, can we get them 20 at-bats a month? Is that going to get them an ROI in the campaign? Yes or no? So 10 times 5 is $50 a day. And then stretch that out over the course of the week and the month, and that's $1,000 a month ad budget. And that's at a very basic level how we come up with budgets for clients, pretty much across the board. And then every $50 you bump up, if you're running Monday through Friday, is another $1,000 over the course of the month. Sure. So you can get the numbers really quickly.
You said that was Keywords Everywhere. That's an online tool or is it an app?
Yeah, it's a free plugin. You can play with it now for usage over a certain amount, I think, but it's like,
gotcha.
I think for $10 you'd be good for the year, type of thing.
That's
and
cool.
that'll give you a search volume for and keyword ideas for every search engine: YouTube, Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, wherever you're going to be.
Okay.
That brings up a whole nother question there. It's like,
exactly.
We talk about Google a lot, but you just threw out, 3 or 4 other names.
Yep.
Are you guys doing? You're obviously doing some stuff there.
Yeah.
Like what percentage? Because I know people forget about those. Like
99. We're at 195 clients. We got 1 client on Bing, so 100 and what is that? 99.9 or 99.5, whatever it is. Bing is what it is. It's built into people's desktops, depending on what manufacturer you buy. So they're using it, but no one really goes, "Let me Bing that." Let me Google that. Right. So just keep in mind, not everyone's got, or everyone doesn't have unlimited budget. So just go to where the market is and go to Google. That's where you're going to 80-20 the traffic. Start there.
DuckDuckGo is building some momentum, right? I mean, they're still
when it hits that crossover point, we'll go there and we'll crush that market, because Bing and DuckDuckGo are relatively easy compared to Google.
Sure.
But for right now, it's kind of where we're at. And then we do search-based ads. So the search engines versus, say, YouTube, which would be more display or remarketing or behavior. There's some keyword stuff in there, and then certainly not Facebook. So those are different styles. Those are more like traditional like newspaper style or magazine style direct response marketing. These are search driven based on intent of the keyword.
Yeah, I can see DuckDuckGo maybe in certain niches, that are privacy focused, prepper focused, anything like that. Those type of things.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying for us as a business decision, it's we're better off just focusing on Google at the moment.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Very cool.
If you wanted to get on retail shelves, you would focus on Walmart and Target first because that's where the majority and Amazon. That's where you'd want to go. So makes sense. So I'm curious on the thank you page. It's just a simple thank you page, no tricks or hidden gems there. Just basic. Your transaction worked, and we'll be in touch.
We'll call you. We'll call you. We'll call you we'll call you in 5 minutes type of an approach. You can load it up with testimonial videos, but at that point, you already got the lead. They should be, calling up pretty shortly. So,
most people, I think. I mean, I know when I go through a funnel like that, I'm like, okay, I've done what I came to do.
Yep.
I really don't want to sit around and look at a thank you page.
Exactly.
No matter what's on it, I'm ready to move on to whatever's next on my to-do list.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
And once they fill that out, that's it's the company, the client that's doing the follow-up, right?
Correct. Yeah. We, the form submissions would go to members of their team, whatever email them going to. Same with CallRail. So CallRail is a third-party call tracking tool we use for call tracking. That's whatever destination number that they want. It just allows us to track not just that a call came at a campaign level, but specifically what keywords are driving the goods.
I'm curious, do you guys monitor CallRail? Because I've used that in the past. I know, I mean, then you start getting into having conversations. Sometimes you start having conversations about like, okay, you guys really seriously need to improve your sales selling, your phone selling online. Because I've listened to some conversations in the past, through CallRail, and you start to see where there's the bottleneck. You go through the the efficiency, and you start seeing, okay, well, where's the bottleneck? And then you listen to one of these calls sometimes by members of the company, whoever it is, their customer service or whatever, and you're thinking, well, no wonder they're not making any sales. Do you listen to this guy? I mean, do you ever have to have that kind of conversation?
The sister-in-law that's answering the phone.
Whatever. If she's answering the phone.
If she's answering the phone.
So one reason we really like CallRail is it'll record the calls too. And you nailed it. So it's usually an eye-opening event for the owner of the company that isn't taking the sales calls themselves, when he can go on and spot check and be like, you've missed 7 calls this week. What are you doing? You're paying.
Hey, for those people that don't know, can you just describe what CallRail is and what it does?
Yeah, so CallRail is a third-party call service that allows you to basically rent or lease phone numbers and then forward those to wherever you want to ring. So like I can, instead of putting my cell phone as my business number, I can get a CallRail number, forward that to my cell phone, and it will allow me to record the call. It'll allow me forward to wherever. It'll give a voicemail. It's a tracking service. And at the Google Ads level, we get pools of numbers that rotate through the campaign. So each customer is going to get anywhere from 6 to 15 numbers, depending on how big the budget is.
Right. And you could also, then you could use the same thing for your postcard campaign. Billboard, if you're using a billboard. So you really do, you really understand where traffic is coming from. It's just another way to track, right?
100%. And Jonathan, you nailed something earlier. People ask us in the sales process what their return on investment is going to be. And our job is to bring the horse to water. Your job is to make it drink.
Absolutely.
All companies have different skill sets and different abilities, and some not at all. And it's scary. And I learned this in, I think, 2017-ish, right around Trump in office. The Houston and Austin immigration markets were on fire for obvious reasons, what was going on. And we had 2 immigration attorney clients. They both got 90 leads roughly in the month. One got 18 new clients and one got 1. One thought we were great. One thought we were horrendous. And we were like, what? That's the same campaign. It's a clone campaign. Like, what's going on? Roughly the same everything. And we listened to all the recordings to kind of coach. And one winged every single call and didn't have any process, and then one had a really good intake process. And it taught us at that point that our job is not to install sales systems. I mean, we can certainly help and coach, but that's not our job. Our job is to bring the horse to water. At some point, they've got responsibility for that part of the process, or bring in a consultant to help with the intaking and sales process to fix that, because that's a huge leaky bucket that most companies overlook.
It's horrible. Yeah, it's big time. I've still got a friend to this day. He was a client years ago, and he's in the bariatric surgery niche, and we had the call rail set up on his, and we would listen to some of the calls from his receptionist that they would take to his clients, and they were rude, and as if this potential customer was like, eating into their own time. I mean, it was awful. It was just like, man, you got to do something about this, because this is killing you. I mean, your customer service, or your people that are working for you are turning your customers away, or your clientele away, just by their attitudes. And I think he had to have one of those come to Jesus meetings with his staff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For those entrepreneurial salespeople out there, there's a whole business sitting right here for you if you're listening. You could take those call rail calls and then pre-sell them, follow up. I mean, it's a huge opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yep. And I'm a big Jay Abraham fan, and the different ways to grow a business. Just small changes in sales conversion rate from 10% to 11%. That's a 10% increase. It just seems like 1%. It's a 10% increase.
Absolutely.
You don't need to move the ocean here. You just need to make incremental tweaks that can really have big impact on the bottom line. So, it's an area that should be focused on. It's one of the big levers, but most people overlook it, unfortunately.
Exactly.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Robert Collier letter book, and like how one phrase can like completely transform a business. Mm-hmm. Like it seems like every time we go to dinner, and I still haven't done anything about it, but I'm always like, if the waiters would just ask about dessert in a specific way, instead of saying, "Do you want dessert?"
Right.
Hey, you guys gonna have dessert tonight? And you're like, kind of full. You just ate. You're like, nah, I'm good. But if you said, "Hey, would you guys like your dessert here or to go?"
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now it's like, oh yeah, just box it up for me.
Yeah.
Because usually you're full when you go out to eat.
Yeah.
But
hey, I know. With you
I know I'm going to be hungry in an hour. So, and I mean, then you increase your ticket size, so you're going to get a better tip.
Yep.
It's a higher profit margin item for the restaurant, like all kinds of stuff. And that's with that one sentence. And you could do a couple different variations of it, but there's no training on that kind of stuff for servers in restaurants.
Yep. And that comes to our landing pages. So we get not a lot, but sometimes client requests to make edits to the landing page, or tweak something, or change the color. And I have to respectfully decline as nicely as possible and be like, listen, with all respect, this is what we do for a living. We drive a lot of leads. Unless it's coming from insight, from actively running a Google Ads campaign and getting good conversion data, just trust us on this one. We can always split test it in the future, but let's just start at the gate with a known entity here, and then test in the future once we have that piece dialed in. Because sometimes clients can't get out of their own way, and you have to respectfully.
Well, especially since you guys are
my daughter, who's she's a branding specialist, she's told me that we need to change it.
Yes. Yeah, my sister-in-law's brother's cousin is taking a marketing course right now. So, yeah. But I mean, I love that you guys are cloning stuff, so this stuff works. And there's, for these types of business, I imagine there's not a huge variance in like regions and things like that.
Yeah,
that you have to worry about. So it probably is going to come down to that sales process.
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
a big piece of it.
Yeah.
Well, Ed, I know you've got. We don't want to cut into your personal time. I know you got to pick up some kids.
I do.
So thanks for hanging out with us, man. It's been fun. It was great catching up with you. This has been fascinating for you to kind of break down exactly what you do and how you do get your clients more, more higher paying customers, right? Higher. That's the key.
I had a blast. I'm usually terrified of public speaking, so I agree.
Yeah, people can find the best place people can find you is at at ClicksGeek or .com, right?
Yeah. Correct. Yep. Google Ads Management Services. We've got some courses that teach us stuff as well. Google Ads, landing pages, direct mail. If you're looking to learn how to get direct mail, learn how to get consulting or marketing style clients through direct mail. And our landing page is loading slow today. Wow, that's terrible.
Could be a StreamYard thing.
Hey, on a personal, on just a side note, real quick, do you guys work with any paving contractors locally?
Yeah, paving, concrete, lots of different contractors. So, yeah, I like the paving space. It's good.
Is that what does any of that pertain to asphalt, or is it mostly concrete?
I like asphalt more. Depending on residential or commercial, we can do striping as well. Striping is a nice little add-on service. Okay,
so I'll be calling you next week because there's the reason I'm not in that niche or I'm not doing anything, but I'm in industrial sales. So I'm working with a manufacturing company that manufactures basically a chemical for asphalt applications. So I think there's some tie in there that we could do some things together.
Yeah, I got a niche I'd like to talk about as well. So I'll be in touch. I'll get your info from Jonathan.
Cool. If you guys want any of our courses for any of those, just let me know and I can set you guys up with free access to them.
Cool. Oh man, thank you. Appreciate that. Cool. Well, thanks so much. We'll be we'll get this out early next week, or the audio version. We'll have it published. And thanks, buddy. I appreciate you coming on and spend some time. I know you got to run, but it's been a pleasure. Have a great weekend.
Thank you very much. See you guys. Have a great day.
See ya.
Take care, man. That was solid stuff, man.
Yes,
love having it.
Good little tips there. I want to see some of those landing pages too.
I know.
So we'll have to do a off the record viewing of some of the landing pages because I'm sure they're going to be so simple. I mean, that's what I've found has worked, more often than not. Is super simple. One of the best ones I've seen is where it literally matches the ad, like same image from the ad. This is on Facebook, with the same headline and then like nothing else on the page, so that there's, because if they've already said yes to the information that's on the ad, anything else you add to the landing page could just end up adding an objection, right. But if it just confirms what they just saw, there's no resistance, or almost no resistance. So, but yeah, good stuff. I'll definitely have to get in touch with him.
He's worked with David Dutton. Was showing me, because David's worked with Ed in the past, and David's put together a landing page for a fence contractor there locally, I think in his area, and Ed helped him. He was showing it to me. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. It's like Best, and I want to say it starts with Best, but I'll get it completely wrong on the show, but I can look it up and maybe on a follow-up or something like that. But you're exactly, just as he said, it's super simple, nothing fancy. No videos, no nothing, but basically, call for a consultation or a quote, so, and it works.
Yeah. And then, if you could, like I said,
you don't need a fancy ebook. You don't need the 7 steps or the 7 mistakes and all this stuff. We used to preach that.
Especially not in that type of niche, maybe in information products.
That's right.
That kind of stuff. But and when you're trying to get somebody a service or a physical product or something like that,
absolutely,
you don't need. I don't think you need that as much.
Yep.
All right, man. Good stuff. We got another show coming up.
Yep, we do. A great follow-up. We're going to be talking some Dan Kennedy stuff. We're going to be talking about hijacking the mind and inventing what he talks about, like inventing problems.
Yes.
Pretty cool. We've touched on a little in the past, but we're going to dig in a little deeper from some DK stuff.
And that's just one of the many things he covers in that that we're pulling from. So we might dip into some other stuff around mind hacking. So that'll be fun.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time. You can find us over at persuasionbythepint.com. You can find us on all of your podcast platforms, Stitcher Radio, iHeart, Spotify, you name it. And as always, thanks for listening. If you like what you hear, leave us 5 stars, and we will see you all next time.
See ya.
All right. Good stuff.
Yep. About 5 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, 5 minutes. I'll